In 1923 Germany, a single loaf of bread cost 200 billion marks. Citizens fed stacks of paper notes into wood-burning stoves because the cash itself provided more heat than the firewood it could no longer buy. Money functions as a fragile, psychological agreement, a shared belief that holds value only as long as a society maintains trust in the institution backing it. What structural forces cause a powerful, industrialized government to intentionally break that agreement and turn its own currency into waste paper? The German collapse of 1923 demonstrates the total erosion of a society once a state decouples its currency from physical reality. To find the root of the crisis, we have to look at the wreckage of World War I. The Allied powers burdened a defeated Germany with massive, unpayable war reparations. These financial obligations reached a scale that the government could not settle through standard taxation or internal economic growth. Instead of defaulting or restructuring the debt, leadership attempted to bypass the mathematics of the crisis. They began creating new money out of thin air to pay their international bills. The state spun up the national printing presses, moving into industrial-scale production of unbacked currency. Attempting to solve a structural debt with artificial money creates a feedback loop that rapidly moves beyond the control of central banks. This chart illustrates the tipping point. As the physical supply of paper money explodes, the purchasing power of every existing mark in the system drops toward zero. Once the math enters the spiral, the government must issue increasingly large denominations just to facilitate basic transactions. This note carried a face value of 5 million marks, a standard piece of everyday currency. For the working class, this meant being paid twice a day. Salaries were so bulky they had to be transported in wheelbarrows and suitcases. Workers would sprint to the market the moment they received their pay. Prices moved so quickly that food would often double in cost before the end of the work shift. Hyperinflation turns daily survival into an exhausting race against a clock, where a lifetime of savings can evaporate in a single afternoon. Eventually, the currency reached a point of total psychological collapse. It stopped being perceived as a store of value, treated instead as industrial scrap. Millions of marks were bundled into blocks and handed to children as street toys because the currency notes had lost all functional meaning to the adults. The government responded by adding more zeros, issuing notes like this 100 million mark bill, which only accelerated the public's loss of confidence. Within months, the generational wealth of the middle class vanished, leaving a permanent scar on the nation's social and political landscape. Without public trust, the paper loses its function as a medium of exchange, turning the national currency into literal garbage. Today, the global economy operates on fiat currency. These systems are not backed by gold or physical commodities, but by the perceived stability of the governments that issue them. Modern central banks, like the Federal Reserve, use quantitative easing to manage national debts, a process that involves the digital creation of new money to stabilize the financial system. With global debts now measured in the trillions, the events of 1923 serve as a reminder of how quickly the link between currency and value can sever. Systems of governance may change, but the mathematical laws governing the supply of money remain indifferent to the intentions of those who print it.